If you get a good one, it'll be the best car you ever buy. If you get a bad one, you'll hate it and tell everyone it's the worst car in the world and definitely don't buy one. Can we just indulge me for a minute in a game? It's my favourite game. How many miles has this car done? This bad boy's almost done 190,000 miles. That's not to say that you should just go out and buy a Biturbo Audi, whether it's an A6 or an SQ5 or an A7, because they are not without their problems. Maybe I just got a good one. I'm fairly biased about this one, with it being my own car. However, I'm not delusional in any way, shape or form. These A6 Biturbos and SQ5s aren't without their issues. They do have problems. However, if you want champagne lifestyle on a beer budget, this is the car for you. If you get a good one of these that's been looked after, they just seem to go on forever. As a standard car, these do need a little bit of work. From the factory, they're 313 horsepower and 650 Newton meters of torque. At the time, that was really quick. This was the headline car, best you could get. It was the equivalent of like a BMW 535D. Don't underestimate how massive these cars are. They are long, they are wide. To give you an idea of just how wide they are, I am 6 foot across and 6 foot finger to finger. I'm like not even halfway into the passenger seat there. These bad boys are big. In this spec, with the 20-inch wheels, being an S-line and blah, 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 these are quite a firm ride. They don't waft along like you would expect a big executive estate car to do. They've got a bit of firmness to the ride. You can feel what's going on. The steering's, it's fairly numb, to be honest, but they do handle really well. On a fast sweeping corner, they're actually a fairly responsive thing, and they do kind of rewarding. They're all right. There's a few gearbox niggles that owners need to look out for. One is the second gear clunk. These gearboxes, when they work, they're amazing. When they don't work, they're eye-wateringly expensive. So, yeah, things to look out for if you're ever going to buy one of these. Make sure you put it through all the different drive modes. So you push the car button and that brings up drive select. If you put this into efficiency mode, this one does clunk a little bit. I'm gonna kind of make it do it here. So that's fourth, third. Oh, there you go. You kind of, I don't know if that picked up on camera. This has got the smallest little clunk when you put it into efficiency mode. And basically what happens is it goes, when you slow down to a junction, it goes 4, 3, 2, 1. I just avoid it. Ignorance is bliss. If you don't know it's clunking, you're fine. The drive modes actually work really well. Obviously, I own a tuning company, so this is the best tuned one in the world. What I've done is I've built in very heavy torque limitations and throttle responses into the various different drive modes. So when you put it into efficiency mode, you get slightly less steering assistance, the air conditioning kind of goes down a notch, and the throttle response becomes very smooth and it rattles up through the gears as quickly as it possibly can. When you put it into comfort mode, you get full aircon, slightly lighter steering, and the gearbox revs a little bit higher before each gear. When you put it in auto, it just has a mind of its own. When you put it in dynamic, it opens up the exhaust speakers and makes those louder and turns them on and does all of that. The steering gets much sharper. The gearbox goes into S mode, so it revs higher. You can change as well. If you like the way it drives in dynamic, but you don't want the high revving gearbox, you just knock that back and you're in normal drive, and then you've got sharp steering, sharp throttle response, noisy exhaust, and normal drive. And that's what I've set up to be on individual. So if I just want to cruise around, I can put it in individual, I can have me noisy exhaust on, and it still drives like a normal car. not bad. Shall I show you how fast it is? It surprises me every time. Woo! Brakes aren't very good though. And that's why I love this car. It is like ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. It looks smart. It's terrible on fuel. Well, it's not terrible. I average about 40. That's not too bad. It looks smart. It's okay on fuel. It has got all the space in the world for your wife, kids, fishing gear, bikes on the roof, everything. The interior is a very nice, comfortable, calming place to be. And they wear up really, really well. This car's nearly done 190,000 miles. And look at it. Great. If I was picking, like, I know people say like, oh, if I was driving to the south of France, I'd pick this, I'd pick that. You've got to go within your budget. If you've got a sub 10 grand budget and you want a car that you're going to go on long road trips on and it's going to service your family and be absolutely perfect, really good bet. I'm not saying it's the best, but these are a fantastic car. If I was going to jump in a sub 10 grand car and go on a big old European road trip, bet your bottom dollar I'd probably jump in this. The seats are mega comfortable. This doesn't have the Super Sport seats. This has the S-Line comfort seats with the box pleated leather. They've got electric lumbar support, they're heated. The heated seats are nuclear hot, like they're really hot. It's got dual zone climate control, it's got climate control in the back, it's got Bluetooth media streaming. This one's got the basic RMC radio, but it still gives you Bluetooth media streaming, maps from 2001, because, you know, why not? These are literally the worst maps in the world. It's got a reversing camera, it's got keyless entry, it's got heated mirrors, the headlights are very good, it's got bi-xenons, which are excellent, it's got LED tail lights. I think they're LED, they look like LED. Basically what I'm getting at is, buy a good one of these and you'll love it. Let's go to my usual spot, park this up, make it look all cinematic, and then tell you a little bit more about an A6 Biturbo. But not just any A6 Biturbo, my A6 Biturbo. We've got keyless entry, heated, electrically adjustable, memory seats, auto lights, dual climate control, Bluetooth with media streaming, a normal radio, nav that basically doesn't work so you can forget about that, and a telephone that actually works really well. And that's all controlled through this old school RMC system. The other thing that this has, which is surprisingly good quality for the age of the car, is a reversing camera. Potato can. It's got basically everything that you need and nothing that you don't, and I'm all about that. You might have seen from those few clips, the interior quality and the way that this is worn up is absolutely fantastic. You would never believe this has done 190,000 miles. With these cars, it's all about finding one that's not been abused. If you get one that's been looked after, it's going to look after you. As you've probably gathered by now, I think this is a fantastic car. It's bloody brilliant. However, if you own one of these, an A6, an A7 or an SQ5, or you're looking at buying one, you have to factor tuning into your budget. The reason this car is so good is because all of the little niggles and the laziness and the unresponsive gearbox and the numb throttle pedal and all of that is gone because it's been tuned. There's lots of different ways you can tune these. These are best with a good quality stage 1 tune. Around about the 370, 380 horsepower mark is a nice place to be, because you're not just chucking in loads of fuel, it's still going to drive nice, you're not putting things under too much stress, and a good quality gearbox tune. The gearbox tuning on these is what transforms them. You can really sharpen up the gear shifts, you can rewrite the shift points, you can increase all of the operating pressures so you get a faster pickup and pull away, and you can reduce the amount of torque that's lost between gear changes. So you just get this smooth, consistent pull. I'm not saying you have to bring your car to me. That's not the purpose of this video. But if you do bring your car to me, I'll fire you up and down the road in this car first. You can have a drive of this and go, that's what I want. That's worked for me so far on quite a few customers. And if you're in the market for an Audi A6 Biturbo, A7 Biturbo or SQ5, and I keep saying that because mechanically they're all the same, they tune the same, they've got the same engine and box and stuff like that. If you're in the market for one, don't listen to all of the negative people on the owners groups. If you joined any of the owners groups for these, you will see hundreds of people complaining about every little issue that they've got. But the people that are driving around in them absolutely trouble-free with good quality cars that have been maintained, serviced and looked after, they're not posting up saying, oh, it's the best car I've ever had, it's great. Oh, you know, I went and filled up with fuel today and the wipers didn't stop working. People don't talk about good stuff. But because these are quite a lumpy car that have come down in budget, like you can go and buy one of these now for like 7, 8 grand for a rough one. They're still like a really expensive car to run and maintain. So because these have started to drop into cheaper budgets, they've also started to drop into the eyes of people that can't afford to run them. Don't listen to those people. Go and buy one if you can afford one. They're great. I think that's the takeaway from this, really. A lot of people talk about upgrading the RMC or MMI system to like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or something like that. There are kits out there that you can buy which look fairly cheap. You can get them from about 300 quid and they look really good in the pictures, but they're absolutely terrible. I quite like music, and one of the things that I love about this car is the speaker setup has got everything in the right location. So it's got a nice sound stage. So instead of the music just coming out of the speakers, everything's presented to you. That sounds a little bit poncy, but that's the best way that I can describe it. It's not just sound, it comes out of the speakers as music. Everything's set up well, everything's good quality, even if you don't have the Bose sound system. And when you start running all of that through a cheap, emulated, low quality box, I would take the sound quality over the snazzy screen all day long. So stick with OE is my personal opinion. More honest reviews, that's what we're all about. I love this car. It's very boring now that I'm used to it, but it looks great, it drives great, it ticks every box, and it is irreplaceable. What would I buy to replace this? I'd have to spend 20 grand. Not spending 20 grand on a car. Oh, stock up on mirror glasses. Woo-wee! I rang TPS the other day for a mirror glass for the driver's side and it was like 85 quid. Where am I going to go out and buy a high 300 horsepower-ish, 800 Newton meter-ish estate car with this much space, with this build quality, in as good a condition as this, with all the options that this has got? I'm not. If I put a private plate on this and didn't tell everyone it had done almost 190,000 miles, it looks like a 12, 15 grand car. Looks like I've done really well. Facts are, it owes me less than half of that. So take the brave pill, take a risk. Go and find one, find a good one. Definitely buy a high mileage car that's had all the maintenance done rather than a low mileage car that's been owned by an idiot. You can't go wrong.